This is a Film Stories original podcast.
We made this.
Welcome to the Starlight Ballroom. Hey!
Hello everyone and welcome to Shipwrecked and Comatose, the Red Dwarf podcast here on the We Made This podcast network. And today we are looking with Colin and Mark at new Red Dwarf for them.
For us. For most of the people listening.
For us.
Probably not.
Exactly. Mark, how the devil are you?
I'm very excited. I'm so close to getting new Red Dwarf. And I have watched the titles of new Red Dwarf now. So I'm genuinely fascinated. So let's get these done so I can watch some new Red Dwarf, please.
Okay, we'll make it short and sweet. Colin, how are you feeling?
Got fucking space mumps.
You've got space mumps, I've heard.
It's weird as shit, man. I've basically got some kind of plague type bollocks at the moment. I'd rather not have it, but if I die during the recording, I die.
Fine by me. Fine by me. I had the same almost to the day last year. We're talking like maybe, 5 or 6 days to the year that I got COVID and I'm still struggling.
Yeah.
So I was just saying to Mark off air, actually, that I'm actually starting to do proper exercise now, which is the first time in almost a year, which is ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. But anyway, we are here to talk about Red Dwarf 10 and its title scene. Because I get to talk about scenes which I never watch. So this is a newbie for me as well.
This is kind of why we're doing it, isn't it? Because every series from series 3 to 6, I tried to do this fucking gimmick where I was like, so if you were watching this for the first time, what would you think of these titles? And you never did your revision, did you? You never did your fucking revision. So do you know what I did? I did my revision.
Sorry, Daddy.
But basically, these have come from that. You never fucking did it properly, so I have.
Fair. So we are going to be looking through the Red Dwarf 10, its title credits, and as I say, it's going to be a fascinating watch, and we'll see what you think about this. So, should we just dive straight in?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, okay. So, first off, you see the Red Dwarf itself. Now, first impressions of the new Red Dwarf, Colin. Actually seeing it for the first time.
Very much like the old Red Dwarf. I thought it was actually... you've got the model bit right at the start that I thought was the old model because they blew it up. So I thought they just used old footage. If it is CGI, it is not too bad.
It'd be interesting to see what happens on Trojan, but when you see the very first episode of Trojan, there's a scene right at the very beginning, which is like a face-on of Red Dwarf itself. Right. And I am actually really impressed by it.
Is there like Scoopy type bit at the front?
Yeah, the Scoopy. Yeah, it looks really, really good. And they've done, to be fair, they've done a really, really good job CGI-wise, so that you can tell how far the technology is built on, so that's good.
Yeah, so I thought it was model, so that's definitely a big credit to it, because one of the rumours I have heard is that obviously their budget is even smaller on Dave, so it's not as slick as it has been for like previous series, and that it just feels like a backward step with their scenery and everything. So I'm kind of glad that I was fooled into thinking it was models. And you see Blue Midget there, and so throughout the whole of the credits there's no Starbug.
Yeah,
so I was wondering whether there was any kind of copyright thing where they can't use Starbug and they have to go to Blue Midget or something like that.
My thoughts were more along, I wonder if it's a story arc where Starbug has got blown up or something, and they have not got Starbug in a similar way to when they didn't have Red Dwarf.
Interesting.
Didn't they have multiple Starbugs?
Starbug 1, Starbug 2.
Yeah, they did. But what I was also pleased about, and I genuinely didn't know, they've kept the original theme tune. Again, I was worried about like copyright or something, or that they might just change it to give it a new feel for the Dave stuff. It's the classic theme tune, and I feel like that's the right decision.
Yeah, it's the the guitar version, not the really early series version. It's
the series 3 onwards.
That would have been interesting if they did the very beginning version. That would have been a bit of a throwback. Right, okay, let's move on slightly. So, as I say, looks fantastic, that ship.
I totally thought that was a model.
Yeah.
I mean, it may well be. I don't actually know, but there's definitely, as I say, when you see the beginning of Trojan, it feels like it might be a model. I might be absolutely wrong there, but
how many years later than Back to Earth was this? Because there was a gap, wasn't there?
End of 2012.
So about 3 years.
Yeah. Okay, so we see the Red Dwarf, a light lens flare there, and we come to a scene where Lister is rocking out.
Yes.
It just feels odd that the other characters are enjoying him rocking out. I mean, he hasn't got an actual guitar, it's air guitar. But why is everyone happy to see Lister doing music? That struck me as odd.
That scene, to me, looks like a smeg up. It looks like the 4 actors having fun. And I like that we've also got the characters having fun together. That's good.
Yeah.
We want them to be friends.
But immediately Rimmer's got an H. So we know it's not a direct continuation from A.
It is from Back to Earth, though. It is from Back to Earth.
Yeah, because he had a H in Back to Earth, didn't he?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is Back to Earth, didn't know whether that was an alternative reality or something like that. But does it follow directly on from Back to Earth then, or are you not going to tell me?
It's not really a spoiler. Imagine Red Dwarf 3, the beginning of Red Dwarf 3.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a soft reboot, basically.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there's nothing that's going to go, ooh, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Red Dwarf, they will refer back to stuff, and they'll refer back to seasons 1 to 6, and they might even refer back to Back to Earth. But it is a soft reboot.
I think I heard that Kachansky is just completely wiped. She's just not mentioned. It goes back to the 4.
She'd be in the credits if she turned up at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I also think Holly doesn't appear in the credits either. So I'm wondering whether Holly is even in this.
As I said, cannot say anything.
No, I know, but I noticed that Holly wasn't there as much as I noticed that Kachansky wasn't. So I would guess, as you've said, it's a soft reboot, that there's some kind of no Kachansky, not explained, no Holly, not explained, and you've just got the classic 4, would be my guess.
Was Holly in Back to Earth? I've blanked it out of my mind.
No, because they couldn't afford to pay him.
Yeah, so I reckon Norman Levitt is in it, and I reckon that they've just kept him as a surprise.
Interesting. I want to talk about Rimmer's outfit. It's blue.
Yes.
And if I remember rightly, blue was soft light and red was hard light. So I want to go through this and see if at another point he's in a different color outfit. And that will give me an idea whether or not he's got a soft light and a hard light form. Because if you're talking about a reboot, he might not even have hard light.
Okay, shall we move on to the next scene?
Yep.
Go for it.
This might help your theory, Mark, because he's in a blue suit and he's using a hammer to hammer something.
True.
It looks like either a rubber duck or a lemon, which is in the bottom part of the next scene. It's definitely yellow.
Yeah,
Okay.
why is he hammering a lemon? But I don't know. I think you're right. Maybe it's just that he's blue and he's got a hard light form. But the one thing I want to talk about here is this is the first time we've had actor names in the credits, and Chris Barry is billed first.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, right.
It's alphabetical, isn't it?
Is it alphabetical?
It could well be.
Have you seen Staged? BBC Staged with
No.
Chris Tennant? There's a whole thing like what we're doing now on Zoom because it was done during the pandemic, and it's Michael Sheen and David Tennant, and there's a whole episode about whose name gets billed first.
Well, that's a big deal, isn't it? Something like Buffy on the credits, Sarah Michelle Gellar is billed first because she is the premier actor. She is the star. I assumed that they decided that Chris Barry was the star. Right, let me go through this. They do Barry, Charles, John Jules, and Llewellyn is alphabetical. You're right.
Yeah, I was going to say Robert Llewellyn's definitely last. I remember that. I just didn't pay attention to the order because I was more paying attention to
that is the order
happening.
they appear on the credits. So it's either alphabetical or Chris Barry is being top billed, because it does seem to me like if they were billing it on importance and longevity, it would be Lister or Rimmer.
Yeah.
Then the cat, then Crichton.
Yeah.
So it's whether or not they're doing alphabetically or whether or not it's Chris Barry Big Balls, who is top build.
I reckon it's alphabetical because that would solve the argument of who to have first.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually pay that much attention because I don't watch the other one, so I didn't realise that names weren't on it in the first place. So that's news to me, actually. I didn't think about it. So, right, okay, so moving on then. You mentioned this bit, so this seems to be that we've got...
Desert Tuareg sort of outfits, like they're in Tunisia.
Yeah, they're wearing keffirs. Yeah, so why are they wearing those? Do they get back to Earth, or is it a planet that's very similar that happens to have that kind of headgear?
It's the planet Morocco.
Yeah. I wonder whether, because it's more modern, it's a bit less grossly spoilery. So if there is a big moment, like a fucking dinosaur foot, they haven't put that in the credits. Because it doesn't feel like any of these moments are as big as, say, the polymorph appearing in Series 4's credits or Pete's foot appearing in Series 8's credits. Those are huge moments. And I don't see anything quite like that across this entire episode. The gang in Keffirs is cool, but it's not like a holy shit moment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention about this particular moment then? You mentioned about lemons.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another lemon.
Yeah.
Well, that's why what made me think that the yellow thing that Rimmer was hammering in the last scene might have been a lemon, because originally I'd thought that's a rubber duck.
Right. Spoiler alert, because we're going to talk about this later, because I'm going to ask you about the episode titles.
Okay.
One of the episode titles of this season is called Lemons.
Right.
Oh, look at that, Colin. You got one of the episode titles.
Is there another episode title called Rubber Ducks?
No.
Cool.
No.
Okay, so the ship is exploding at that point.
It's another windy thing where to emphasize bad shit's going on, which is very Red Dwarf. And that pleases me. Is it another problem with an airlock? We've had a lot of airlocks go wrong in Red Dwarf.
It looks like a hull breach, doesn't it? Where you've got all the wind and stuff like that. And there's some very sort of Star Trek-y falling all over the scenery while the camera gets tipped.
Yeah.
Which they've always loved doing.
Is that a simulant in the background?
Oh, it could be. There's definitely bits, I think, that look like simulant technology in some of the clips.
Or is Crichton maybe simulanted in a kind of Borg kind of way?
Ooh.
Don't simulant him. That would make me sad. And I know they don't write off Crichton. I know he's in all three series.
So we're happy with that? So you think there might be some form of either Crichton simulant or simulant on board or something like that, yeah?
Yeah, that looks like a simulant to me.
Okay.
And then looks like a drone attack on Red Dwarf.
I thought it looked like TIE fighters, actually.
They're too small.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know what I mean, though? Like kind of TIE fighter style shit, though. Like kind of little shooty bastards.
That's the technical term. Shooty bastards.
I mean, I can't think of anything. I mean, we've had meteors hit the ship. We've had other things. I can't think of anything where we've had an attack on the ship like this.
We've had threats.
Starbug's been struck, but we've never had little ships going for Red Dwarf itself. The mothership, I suppose, Red Dwarf is, isn't it?
Yeah. So they attack, and then you've got this scene with Lister, who's kind of been a bit
Star Trek-y.
Angry Lister in a black Star Trek-esque uniform shouting is what my notes say for that bit.
I mean, it's clearly a direct take on Star Trek. I mean, are they going to have some kind of weird satirical Star Trek parody episode?
Well, I mean, every single episode of Red Dwarf has had some aspect of that.
True, but I mean explicitly.
Hence Picard trying to call his lawyers when he saw the first episode.
Well, yeah, there is that. Okay, so Craig Charles, and his name is on there as well when you see him. So they're kind of linking the name to the...
Oh, yeah, they've done it in a very American style, like Buffy.
And then we get your best friend, Mark.
And that bouffant. The cat's bouffant just gets bigger.
That mauvey sort of... Is that the right colour? Purplish? Reddy purple sort of fur-lined jackety type thing.
It's feathers, isn't it? Not fur.
Could be feathers. That's what he seems to have as his promo picture for all of his, whenever he does a Comic-Con or something like that these days, he seems to be wearing that outfit in the pictures for it.
Yeah. And he's off outside the door, and then we get Lister with a kebab and something blowing up. What do you make of this bit then?
That reminds me of Series 1, where he's fixing the Navicomp.
All right, okay.
It's his son.
He's moved on from curry. He eats other things other than curry. I mean, that's progress. That's growth.
I would imagine there's a lot of chili sauce on that kebab.
Well, I think what I was saying earlier about how there's nothing spectacular. This is a little bit of an explosion. But it's a bloke eating a curry and getting it on the computer. It doesn't feel like a dinosaur.
Maybe they've learned their lesson, Mark, is what I'm saying. Because a big dinosaur foot sounds great. Dinosaurs, as we said, on a spaceship sounds amazing. But there's been 2 franchises in the UK that have done dinosaurs on a spaceship, and both are not amazing.
Yes.
It's the example I keep giving, but, I could have said, I don't know, they had the fucking giant Gapper, the Triphibian monster in Series 4's.
I should do a special on that.
We did. It was great.
Okay, moving on. We're 15 seconds in. So, and then there's a planet, which we're not going to bother with. That's fine. And then you've got the cat doing some sort of weird thing.
Looks like he's eating something that is disgusting. Possibly Lister's kebab. Or a lemon.
Or he's still a virgin, isn't he? So maybe that's what he thinks sex is.
That's a reach. Where did you get that from?
I don't know. Heterosexual sex confuses me.
Fair enough.
I'd pull that face if I was having heterosexual sex, to be honest with you.
Brilliant. Okay, moving on. We've got some more space battling.
Now, this is really cool space battling. It's a major warship as well. And I wonder whether those kind of not TIE fighters are linked to that. They come from that warship, maybe. And I think simulants, I've seen a simulant in Red Dwarf, or what I think looks like. I think there's some kind of crazy-ass simulant attack on Red Dwarf.
Okay. Do you think that as well, Colin? Or
I'm willing to go with that.
Okay, so the simulant attack hitting a couple of asteroids.
Those explosions are cool as well.
Yeah.
And then we get Lister,
who's joined the Ghostbusters.
It
does look a bit Ghostbusty.
So what is he doing there? What do you think Lister's doing there?
He looks like he's pulling a big, heavy thing along a corridor.
Okay.
I don't know why.
No,
but he
it's
is.
not very. I mean, the Ghostbusters pack is interesting, but I'm just whelmed at the moment.
All right. Okay. Next, we have
Chewbacca turning into a lady.
So we've got Chewbacca turning into a lady.
Yep.
Yep.
After they've used a fire extinguisher on her.
So you're looking at, say, where Crichton and Rim are, and you're saying that white dot in the middle is a fire extinguisher. Is that what you're saying? Or
I mean, the prop made from a fire extinguisher.
No, it's too big for that. It looks like an old industrial vacuum.
Oh.
Is what they've made that out of, I reckon.
All right, clever Dick. Fucking over my gags. Rude.
Yep. So there we go.
But whose legs are they? I want to know whose legs they are, because it's not. I know Kachansky's not in it, so that's the first person that isn't one of the 4 that we've seen in the credits.
Like they're in Tunisia,
apart from possibly the simulant. So there is at least one woman in the entire series of this particular series. So
okay,
good.
Next scene, we get Kat doing a bit of MJ.
His outfits are just on point.
Funny you should say that, Kurt. Yesterday, we went to an exhibition in Lichfield called Grew Up in the 80s. And I took my daughter, and there was a poster of Michael Jackson in the Thriller video. And we just walked past, and she went, "That's the cat from Red Dwarf."
Amazing.
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. So he's doing a bit of Jacko. And then you've also got Crichton doing something with some tube, some extract tube or something.
Knowing Crichton, that looks like a massive knob upgrade.
It looks like a giant finger trap.
Yeah.
Could be both.
I mean,
could trap your finger.
Okay.
Are you saying I've got a particularly big finger? I'm confused.
I'm saying that anyway.
Okay. And then we get Lister, what appears to be doing shots. Anything about this scene that you'd like to point out? Any thoughts on it at all?
Lemon juice. Shots of lemon juice. I'm just going to go with lemons for everything now.
Okay, so shots of lemon juice. Okay,
Yeah.
They're just going to go with lemons. What about you, Mark? What do you think?
Like a limoncello? I do like a limoncello.
If you were breaking this down, if you were looking at this clip, if you were seeing this, what are you seeing, and what do you think it could be?
He's doing shots of limoncello.
It's in shots of what?
It's a lemon liqueur.
Okay, so he's
I've
having
got
shots.
nothing. I'm just not very interested in some bloke just having a shot. It's hardly a dinosaur. I'm a bit obsessed with the dinosaurs film.
Okay, it's definitely looking like he's got a lemon face there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The aftertaste of it. Okay, now this is an interesting one. What's happening with Rimmer right now?
Power failure.
I mean, that's the classic to get rid of Rimmer, isn't it? If you want him out of an episode for a while. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they didn't have him for as much as the other actors, or I don't know. Or maybe some kind of plot line.
I would say that Sam Beckett has now leaped into his life, and that Dr. Sam Beckett's trying to find his way home, and he ends up in Red Dwarf. That's what I'm going to suggest.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's not it.
I think that might be bollocks.
Right, okay, so something's happening to Rimmer there. And then we get some sort of transportation, and we seem to be what looks like some sort of forest.
Beaming down into a forest.
So I did rewind that and freeze frame it to see if they got the teleport that they had in Waxworld, and they don't. So it's another form of teleportation.
Crichton's got something in his hand, but I don't know what.
Okay.
I think.
Next scene is that Lister jumping over onto the couch, which is a cool couch, by the way.
It is. Back of a Cadillac.
And this is probably the time to actually ask you, what do you think of the actual set?
Looks good. It doesn't look like a set that you would imagine for a show that's had its budget massively dropped.
Yeah, I think what I have noticed across this is like the CGI and the sets and the costumes, including the makeup for Crichton. Everything looks a little bit better than I was kind of expecting. I thought it was going to be a little bit more ramshackle than this suggests.
They've learned a lot over the years of what they're doing. They've learned how to do things cheaper and better quality.
And it's also, they've kept the aesthetic with having the bunks. You've still got the idea of what Red Dwarf is. What I find interesting is like you've got like two different doors you can go in out and out of. It's almost like you can come in and out of any of those doors and it will still be effective. So I think that's really good. I love that couch. I do love that couch.
It looks like it would be very much not comfortable, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool, definitely. Okay, then we get an explosion.
And it says Red Dwarf 10.
I mean, I'm a sucker for anything made out of explodium. So, there are quite a lot of explosions on this again, which suggests they've really been good on their budget because none of the explosions were shit.
Yeah.
And, I'm genuinely pleased that this looks like, even though I know the budgets were peanuts, it looks like it's not going to be wretched.
Yeah.
Good.
It does feel like it is less grossly spoilery, which I'm kind of pleased of. But also, I would have probably quite liked some spoilers. I would have liked to have lost my shit.
So this was going to be a question I was going to ask you. Do you want to see one of the trailers for Red Dwarf 10?
No.
Okay, that's fine. So what are your final thoughts then, Colin? And then we're going to look at the episode title names. We're not going to look at synopsis. We're just going to look at title names. Okay, so
All right.
Really positive. It looks great. It looks like you've got the chemistry between the guys who are all still there. It looks like they've done a really good job with the budget. It looks like they've got some really good sort of action and sci-fi elements. And I'm fairly certain from the stuff that I've heard you saying and Matt and Carl saying that it's going to be funny, which is what we want Red Dwarf to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, let's go into our final segment for today for this special, which is episodes.
Okay.
So first off, episode 1 is called Trojan.
Right.
So it's about condoms.
Knew you were going to say that.
Any thoughts?
I think there's going to be a giant lemon that they bring aboard the ship, and then loads of smaller lemons come out of it.
Okay.
So maybe it's some kind of weird kind of Trojans and Greeks kind of inspired episode where either they travel in time, but I can't see anything taking them back in the credits that suggests there's any actual real Trojans.
The main connotation of Trojan, for me, isn't necessarily the Trojan civilization. It's the Trojan horse. It's something hiding and sneaking into something. That's why you've got Trojan viruses, because they're something that sneaks onto your computer.
So you think it's more metaphoric?
It's going to be, there'll be something sneaking onto Red Dwarf that shouldn't be there.
A simulant, a fucking simulant, because we saw the simulants.
Could be Queeg.
And Queeg shows up.
Queeg could show up. We don't know.
He's not in the titles, though. Episode 2.
Right.
Fathers and Sons, but Sons is S-U-N-S. Fathers and Sons.
Right. See what they did there. So I reckon what happens in that is...
Lemons.
Lemons. The son is a lemon, and its dad turns up, and it's a bigger lemon.
Mark,
I'm going to have to carry this fucking segment.
You are going to have to, aren't you?
What are you talking about? I'm fucking carrying this with the lemons.
Right, so there are no other actors other than the lady legs and a possible simulant.
Do you reckon they're attached to a lady, or they've just some legs? And they're just like walking them along. They've just got two severed legs.
I mean, that would be really scary and horrid.
Don't get lemon juice in it. You don't want to get lemon juice in the wound.
In what? I don't
in
know.
The wound at the top
wound,
of the severed leg.
Is that what you call a vagina?
No. Also, probably don't get lemon juice in that. That would probably be a bad idea.
Stop me stinging.
Right. So it's called Fathers and Sons. I would have thought we might have seen some kind of Rimmer alike if they were going to have Rimmer's dad. We know that you haven't got any kind of Lister dad because Lister is his dad and he never knew his dad. And fucking hell. No, I've got no clue. I'm sorry.
Okay. Colin, no? And an official response, or are you just going to stick with Lemon Sons?
My official response is lemons.
Okay. Episode 3 is called Lemons.
Right, there's no lemons in that episode at all. It's a really hard sci-fi episode that's really impenetrable and difficult to understand what is going on. It's the one that basically won them so many awards. It's the one that still gets talked about now. It should have probably got them
an Emmy.
Knighted.
Okay, all right, okay. So what I will say about this is you've put a couple of things together anyway. So you kind of know what this episode's what it's kind of doing because you've seen where potentially the lemons are. Right. You've seen lemons actually in the show. Morocco. And you've seen what they were wearing. So you would assume that that's going to be the episode that it's in, wouldn't you?
I mean, they might run out of lemons. So maybe they travel in time to get lemons because they really need lemons because, they wanted hummus.
Lister's kebab. Lemon juice on a kebab is really good. I always have lemon juice on a kebab.
Right. I think it's going to be like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, but with lemons. And so they get these lemons, but they're sentient lemons, and then they lemon all over them and lemons.
Do you reckon it's going to be like The Trouble with Troubles, but they're lemons?
Basically, yeah, but with lemons.
Yeah. Okay. Episode 4, Entangled.
Right. Okay. So that is an episode where Lister gets imprisoned in the top of a really big tower by his stepmom, who's a wicked stepmom, and he has to grow his dreadlocks really, 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 really long. And then a lemon comes along on a horse and has to climb up his dreadlocks. And it's the only logical explanation. And there's a bit where he's got a friend that's like a little lizard, and he's got a frying pan that he's like hitting people with at some point. There's a song in it as well. I can't remember much more. My daughter watches Tangled all the time. I can't, but it's listed.
Entangled. Entangled, not tangled. Entangled.
Right. Yeah, but it's
entangled.
Entangled. It's Red Dwarf. Entangled. So it's the performing the story of Tangled.
Okay.
Which is basically Rapunzel. She's got like magic long hair, or Lister has got magic long dreadlocks.
Mark.
Right. So Entangled to me sounds like a Star Trek title for an episode. So I think that's the one with the Star Trek piss take in it.
Okay. Is that all you're going to give? Just that?
I'm struggling, I'll be honest. And the lemons thing is really putting me off.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Episode 5, Dear Dave.
Oh. This even though we haven't seen Kachansky, this could be a Kachansky thing. Maybe that he finds a letter or
Could be.
What I will say, without really spoiling it, a letter is involved, yes.
I know, right? You can make invisible ink to write like a secret letter out of lemon juice.
Fuck off with the lemons, like you're just going to get kicked off.
Maybe the writer of the letter is the Wookie Legs lady, and it's not Kachansky. Maybe it's
a lemon saleswoman.
Oh, for goodness.
It doesn't. He needs to take something.
Lemons.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dear Dave, that's an interesting title. And then this one's going to be an interesting response, I think. This episode's called The Beginning.
The first one was called The End. I see what they've done there. Ouroboros.
The Beginning.
So maybe something happens where they encounter other humans, because we've seen the attack on Red Dwarf. Maybe it isn't simulants. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they encounter something that gives them a new direction for series 11 and 12. And that's why it's called The Beginning.
Colin?
I'm just trying to work out a way to fit lemons into that. I think it's obviously got to tie back to the end in some way. Maybe they go back in time to try and stop the radiation leak or something like that. I don't think they'll do that successfully, because I think if they did, we'd know about it. I think that would be the kind of thing that would have leaked from spoilers all over the place. I think obviously we're recording episodes on the next two intros as well, and I think there would have been like Captain Hollister in that or something like that, or Todd Hunter.
Okay. Well, that was that then. So I think we'll call it a day. As I say, these are kind of shortish episodes. I don't know how long we've been going for now, but so we will be back in a few days' time talking about Red Dwarf 11 and their titles. But until next time,
lemons.
I knew you were going to say lemons.
Shipwrecked and Comatose, a Red Dwarf podcast, was created and produced by Mark Adams and Kurt North. You can find us on Twitter at Red Dwarf Pod, and we are part of the We Made This Podcast network.
Hello, and this is Chucky Vision on the We Made This network, the podcast for all things Chucky. I'm Dev Elson.
And I'm Mark Adams. We're two queer podcasters who love bloody horror,
Camp comedy, gay romance,
and referencing icons like Freddy, Jason, and Britney.
The Chucky films and new TV show deliver all of that, and there is still so much more to cover.
So if you want to play, find Chucky Vision on Twitter at Chucky Vision and on all good podcast providers.
And yes, the title is a Chuckle Vision pun.
Because why not?